Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is The Raptor, and welcome back to another one of my reaction videos. So today I'm going to be reacting to the new episode of Death Battle, which just came out, which is Magneto versus Tetsuo. This one actually kind of snuck up on me, I think. I haven't really been thinking about this fight that much since it was announced. Not to say that I'm not excited for this episode, even though I do think we've had a lot of, like, comic book and anime characters recently on the show. And, you know, this matchup in particular doesn't, like, interest me that much. Not necessarily because of the characters, because I think both the characters are really cool. I think Magneto is one of the coolest Marvel villains out there. And, you know, just Akira in general. Is it pronounced Akira? I feel like I've been mispronouncing it before. Either Akira or Akira. It sounds like a really cool manga and anime, you know, personally speaking. I think it sounds cool. But just the fight idea itself, it kind of reminds me of, like, Korra versus Storm in a way. It just, to me, it personally seems like one of these characters has, like, a very obvious edge over the other characters, or maybe Death Battle will prove me wrong, I don't know. But either way, you know, regardless of how I feel about this fight, you know, I'm just hoping that we get a good episode out of it. If we get a good episode out of it, that's really what matters most, because I just like to enjoy Death Battle, you know? But going back to what I was saying before, I do personally think that, you know, I think I know who's going to win. I personally think that Magneto is going to win. Maybe Death Battle will pull something out of the air for Tetsuo that I am not aware of at all, or maybe they're going to scale the characters differently than how I think they will, but personally it just seems like a lot of what you can say for Tetsuo you can also attribute to Magneto, and that also goes for scaling. It seems like whatever level you can put Tetsuo at, you can argue Magneto to be even higher than that, you know? I feel like Magneto also just has a lot better speed feats. I feel like, you know, he has a lot more deadly powers and more versatile powers in general, better defenses. I'm gonna look really dumb if Tetsuo wins, and maybe he will, I don't know. But again, I'm just really excited to see how Death Battle analyzes these characters, and if they prove me wrong, then they prove me wrong. Oh well, you know, again, I'm just here for a good fight. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Battle is sponsored by Hello.
So we'll skip ahead.
Magneto, Marvel's mutant master of magnetism.
Hell yeah.
Tetsuo Shima, Akira's telekinetic terror of Neo.
Okay, they're pronouncing it Akira, so I'm gonna say that until further notice.
Not just in their worlds, but also the very mediums they exist within. He's Wiz and
Yeah?
I'm Boomstick, and it's our job to
I mean, again,
analyze
these
the
characters
weapons,
themselves
armor,
are
and skills to
cool.
find out who would
Just the
win
matchup in
on
general,
Death Battle.
it's alright. It's not like the best thing in the world, in my opinion at
In the
least.
short duration of modern civilization, likely no conflict
Like,
tested
thematically I
humanity
think it
in
works,
the
but
Second World
that's about
War.
it.
In the primary Marvel 616 universe, this fact is no different, especially to the Eisenhart family and their only son.
Right.
You may know him as Magnus, Eric, or Max, but if you ask
Yeah, I didn't know his real name was
his
Max
true
Eisenhart
name
until
is
semi-recently,
Magneto.
actually.
As a Jewish child in Nazi
But yes,
Germany,
Magneto,
Magneto's early life was,
that's how most people
well,
know him.
extremely traumatic. Even after eventually
And I'm very happy
escaping
they're going over
certain
this. Like,
death
I
in
knew
his
they
future
would,
life,
but
misfortune
it's an important part of
always
his
followed
origin.
wherever he went, thanks to his unexpected mutation called the X gene, the mark of a superhuman. After
It's on his dislikes wooden guns.
the KGB
Absolutely.
found out about this quirk, so they burned his house down with his own daughter inside.
That is messed up.
Naturally, he snapped and killed them all. I don't blame him. I'd do that too. Too bad his wife didn't get it and ditched him, though. But that's when Magneto made a choice. Since humans hurt him his entire life, he'd do
Yeah,
the
he
same
faced
to them in the
discrimination
name of
twice
mutants
over
everywhere.
in some of the
At
worst
first,
ways.
Magneto turned to the
That is
telepathic
just
powerhouse
insane.
Charles Xavier and his fledgling team of heroes. But his
Again,
new friend
Magneto is
wasn't
just
thrilled
such
with the idea
a compelling character.
subjugating the human race. So
Yeah, there is that,
his
which
own
is
team of
a
mutants,
bit
the
much,
Brotherhood.
but
Magneto
you can kind of see where he's coming
telekinetically
from.
move, bend, and reshape any metal he's
Look at
aware
all
of.
those powers, too.
Vehicles, buildings, you name it. Even himself when he manipulates his personal magnetic field for flight and energy barriers. Magnetic kinesis is far more versatile than it would appear at first glance.
Oh, yeah.
The blood in your body
Absolutely.
has iron in it. The air has traces of lead and mercury. Whole mountains are lined with metallic ore. The earth itself is surrounded by
Yeah,
a
so he can
literal
control a
magnetic
lot more
field.
than you think.
So many toys for Maggie to play with. He can detect magnetic fields at such a huge range. He can even pinpoint Earth's magnetic rays while stranded on a planet in another
Yeah,
galaxy.
from extremely
And guess
far
what? He
distances.
was able to use those rays to pull himself back to Earth in a single day. His range is even more remarkable than that. Did you know that in 1820, physicist Hans Christian Ørsted discovered that electric currents, like those of electrons and protons and atoms, produce their own magnetic fields?
Okay.
Magneto can fine-tune his control to affect these very subatomic particles.
Yeah, at the
Magneto
subatomic
illustrates
level.
such a particle with positively charged
Dummies and
protons
atom.
and negative electrons.
My life is as meaningless as an atom is small.
So what you're saying is Magneto could, like, yank one of those out? Correct.
Yeah.
Potentially changing an atom's entire chemical makeup. However, neutrons do not have a charge, and without the ability to adjust those to accommodate the change
Boom's like, what are you gonna do?
the atom would become unstable.
No.
Finally!
Creates an ion or something, I forget. Dummy's gonna. Oh, god damn it. Okay, just give me a sec. I can skip the ad in a second.
To support my family, they had one and I took it.
Regardless if it's Rooster Teeth or YouTube, they're just gonna give me ads.
Do that.
Yeah.
Magneto's
Explode.
violent protest against humankind clashed with Xavier's peaceful reconciliation, not unlike the ideologies taught by Malcolm X and Dr. King, by whom Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were inspired.
Yeah.
Magneto would spend most of his career pushing Xavier away to prove his philosophies superior, which meant doing battle with Xavier's school of thought, quite literally. And,
Well, yeah,
his
the
mind
Xmen.
powers are no joke, but thanks to Magneto's
And just his psychic powers.
Professor X couldn't touch him. Magneto survived.
Yeah, that
Cyclops'
helmet is
first
tough to get
lasers,
through.
Absorbed the power of the sun to battle Iron Man, ripped the adamantium skeleton out of Wolverine's body, and even taken on Hercules himself. You know, the Greek legend, Zero to Hero? The
Yeah.
guy who held up the skies of Olympus for Atlas? That Hercules. Seems sensible.
Yeah, the Marvel
Magneto once
Hercules,
used the
yeah.
Earth's magnetic field
Of course.
to overwhelm the Phoenix Force, which can effortlessly destroy planets, let alone far more.
Oh, yeah,
Well, if he
so
really
much
wanted
more.
to, Magneto could totally just fling the Earth off its axis. It's entirely possible he may have eventually resorted to just that. Over time, it became clear Magneto's war was doing far more harm than good for his fellow mutants.
Yeah.
However well-intentioned he may have been at first. Luckily, he later realized he was going a bit overboard and began reevaluating his perspective. Good for you, Mags. It's really tough to recognize when you're the baddie. It took time and patience not just from Magneto, but also from his peers.
Nightcrawler.
And eventually,
I love
his
Nightcrawler.
path was completely changed. He even became a leader for Xavier's X-Men. But don't let his new goody two-shoes ways fool you. Whenever there's a threat to mutants, you can bet Magneto will
Well,
be
yeah.
there to annihilate
The comic book status
it
quo, like,
forever,
never
by
changes.
any means necessary.
Alright. So now we move on to... Okay, well, now we have an ad. But then we move on to Tetsuo, and I don't, I don't know that much about him. At least not in comparison to Magneto, so I'm excited to learn about him.
America's #1 meal kit.
But let's go.
Over 30 years ago, a new type of bomb was set off over Tokyo, and 9 hours later began the Third World War.
Ooh.
Welcome to 2030, or 2019 if you're watching the anime. The buildings
Gotcha.
are taller, the motorcycles are cooler,
All these
and the
inconsistencies.
future is brighter. Oh, wait, not really. If you find yourself in the capsule gang, you'll meet Shotaro Kaneda, who's like your textbook anime Chad. Gets the ladies, beats the baddies, and cops the sweetest rigs.
Sweet.
Man, I need to get me one of those. And then there's the little brother of the group, Kaneda's best friend, Tetsuo Shima. He's
That big-ass forehead.
the exact opposite. A total wimp. As a kid, Tetsuo in his college thesis forehead got bullied for being
His
the new kid
forehead.
at the orphanage.
Yeah.
That's until Big Bro
Esper
Kaneda
number
came to the
41, yep.
rescue. Eventually, the two
He's
went
only
to vocational
19
school
years
together
old.
and formed the Capsules. But Tetsuo was never satisfied with Kaneda being the leader of the pack. Tetsuo desired more than
Come on, man, be a team player.
top dog. Oh, I can just see that monkey's paw curling in my mind. Or that kid walking down the street. Shit, Tetsuo, watch out, you're gonna...
Shit always depresses me.
Should have killed him. But since
Yeah.
he didn't, Tetsuo earned himself a ticket to military confinement. Turns out they had an under-the-table program for developing child superweapons. In the same program that backfired and jump-started the war, Tetsuo became Japan's Esper number 41. He may not have been a natural with bikes, baddies, or babes, but this telekinesis stuff hit different. He walked out of that hospital ward effortlessly flying, reading minds, and blending people into strawberry jelly. Tetsuo got what he wanted.
Yeah.
Power, along with the hunger for more of it. A hunger that used to only be satiated with drugs, and not just any gateway drug.
Well, I'm
Pills,
assuming that kind of
a single gram
didn't
of
last.
could kill you. So, pretty bad. Kinda reminds me of college days, huh? Snow wizard. Tetsuo's main
Wiz?
ability is his constantly increasing
Bruh.
sonic energy, growing more and more powerful over time. This is due to Tetsuo's link to, quote, the memories of the universe, end quote. It's
The
weird.
memories of the
Either way,
universe.
Tetsuo leveled up from lame gangbuster to certified badass. This guy is a walking natural disaster. His telekinesis can shake the planet, easily cause earthquakes over a dozen miles below the surface. He can summon psychic barriers for defense and crush foes with friggin'
Damn.
telekinesis can be so precise he can target and obliterate specific parts of the body. He can heal severe
Kind of
wounds,
like Magneto,
but
yeah.
even after losing a whole limb, he can craft a
The
new one
ego
using
collapse
whatever nearby
form.
materials
Yeah.
he wants.
With these powers, Top Dog Kaneda didn't matter anymore. Who needed his approval? Tetsuo tasted that good shit and he was hooked. And when he found out another Esper named Akira could deal him even more power, he rampaged through Tokyo to find him.
And this is where versions of the story differ.
Okay.
Spoilers ahoy.
You may be familiar with the 1988 animation, where Akira had been dissected for research. However, in the original manga, Akira is not only alive, but even more powerful.
Once that little runt nuked Tokyo, Tetsuo would erect the
Just
Great
casually?
Tokyo Empire with Akira and himself as its leaders. But he ended up just
Damn.
abusing the position for endless sex and inflating his ego.
With Kaneda's rebellion at
Sure.
his front door, Tetsuo took a turn for the worse. He had to fight.
Tetsuo's defeated other powerful espers, dodged light-speed lasers, and
Ooh.
jumped to the moon faster than anyone could blink, and then punched a big old hole in it.
Yeah.
And you ask, Boomstick, wouldn't that mess up gravity on Earth? You would be right, because it totally
Okay, good.
screwed the planet, I guess.
Well, not good for the planet, but you know.
Which brings us to Tetsuo's folly. His abuse of his powers spiraled until he lost control. Unfortunately for Kaneda's rebellion, this did not make Tetsuo an easier enemy to confront. Exactly opposite, in fact, as Tetsuo painfully mutated into an unstoppable behemoth.
Yeah.
Yep, that's not totally disturbing at all.
No, it's not.
I'm happy to say the manga's version is even more disturbing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know babies can be monsters, but that's a whole nother level.
It is pain incarnate. I can relate. Another Esper described Tetsuo's struggle as ego death, which has multiple definitions, but in this case is likely symbolic of the version attributed to drug use.
Yeah, it's described
Yeah, I
as
wouldn't be
a
surprised.
shedding of one's own identity, like how LSD can emulate a wild out-of-body experience, and you come back with a new perspective. Though this
Yeah.
is maybe a little more extreme. In fact, you could say Tetsuo was shedding his human body to play with the powers of a god.
I wish I could shed out of my body.
Rick and Morty.
In this case, Tetsuo going full out of body meant becoming a mound of raw, ever-expanding energy.
Which almost nuked Tokyo all over again.
Yeah.
Those explosions are not normal. I would know.
Top scientists
Okay.
in both manga and animated versions describe these explosions as births of a new universe.
Given its properties of nuclear fusion and proton collapse, Tetsuo's mutated form was likely creating a Big Bang.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that started our whole universe?
Right, in the manga, it instead ended the Espers and their abilities once and for all. A testament that humankind is unsuited to wield the powers of the divine.
Though the anime's even more trippy. Thanks to Akira and his buddies, Tetsuo got so high on ego death, he ascended time-space to become god of a new universe.
Yeah.
Kind of worth it, right?
And yet, Kaneda kept his empire up in his honor.
Hang on, I want to read what that
He
thing said at the
ascended
corner because it might be
time-space to
important.
become god of a new universe.
Tetsuo obtaining omniscience is not canon to the original manga and cannot be applied to an arbitrary level of power. Okay.
Now as the great Akira Empire. Ironically, in death, Tetsuo finally received the attention he so desperately craved.
Yeah. So yeah, sounds like a cool like franchise and character.
Awesome has
Each box is valid.
It's just, you know, unfortunately I haven't really indulged myself in that franchise specifically, you know. But that's, oh shoot, I overshot. Okay, but that's why we have Death Battle, you know, to learn about new characters, which is great. But anyway, it's time for a death battle, so let's pause the video. Okay, so it's a little confusing for me. You might recall again at the beginning of the video where I said that it seems like any level of power you could attribute to Tetsuo, you could attribute a higher level of power to Magneto. And this is stuff I brought up in my prediction. Like, I brought up him being able to absorb the power of the sun and being, you know, hitting Iron Man with it, which Death Battle brought up in Batman vs. Iron Man. And, you know, also him fighting against characters like Hercules and Thor, who should extend, again, like as we saw in Thor vs. Vegeta, should extend far beyond, you know, universe level, you know, many universes that they can destroy in a single hit, etc., etc. Whereas with Tetsuo, you know, again, it's kind of hard for me to judge how much of this they're going to include. They said it in a way as almost like to say that this Big Bang stuff is something that's going to come into play in the episode. But again, if we say that like, oh, that means he can create a universe, you know, does that also mean he can destroy a universe theoretically? You know, maybe that's not even, you know, super structured, like that's not super solidified. But even if he can destroy one universe, you know, that doesn't really add up to the characters that Magneto could theoretically scale to with, you know, in my opinion, lesser levels of lenience, you know, if we want to be generous about it. But again, also it's like are they just going to give Tetsuo like godly powers, like him becoming a god in the new universe? Or was that what the tab they were saying up there, where they're like, we can't attribute omniscience because it's just an anime thing? So do they not only include anime things, you know? So the thing is, like, again, it's kind of hard to say how far they're going to scale Magneto. Like, yeah, they said he fought Hercules, but they didn't outright say, at least not yet, that means he can destroy this many universes, or at very least compete with characters who can destroy this many universes, you know? So I personally think that Magneto should win. It's just, I'm not sure exactly how they're going to scale the characters. Maybe they have a completely different, you know, scaling method than I do, and Magneto has stronger abilities and can, like, affect, like, the Earth more easily, for instance. You know, I feel like he just has if anything, he could tap into greater levels of power quicker than Tetsuo can. That's just kind of the way well, I guess, no, I did get some stuff for speed, because they said that Tetsuo can dodge light speed lasers, but they also said that Magneto can fly. I remember on the sidebar they said something like Magneto could fly between galaxies in very short time frames. I think they even talked about, like, again, him pulling himself towards a magnetic field in like a single day from an extremely far distance across the universe. So I think that Magneto should be faster. I think, again, like, he should be more powerful. At least that's the way I kind of interpret it. But again, maybe Death Battle will interpret it differently. And I still think he just has a greater array of powers. And I think he has better resistances. Like his win. And again, I'm going to look really stupid if Tetsuo does, in fact, win, because I've been basically just backing Magneto the entire time. But yeah, without further ado, let's go watch this fight. I'm excited to see what the animation looks like.
Even in Japan, they fail to recognize.
I like the voice for Magneto already.
Wrong country, Grandpa. You're in Akira turf now.
Ooh, all right, that.
Impudent child.
The hell are you calling child? I make the rules around
And
here.
you're a lot younger. Projectiles are moving pretty slow so far, which I guess is fine, but...
You're wasting my time.
Okay, here we go. Ow! But he can regenerate, he can just get, like, a new arm.
Magnetism.
Yeah, Magneto getting past the regeneration might be a little tough, but... I don't know, I feel like he might be able... I feel like he could do it. Ooh, okay, okay. Will you now?
Your history, scumbag!
I do like the voice acting. Ow! The sound design just made it feel like it hurt. You just headbutt it? Badass. Oh, damn. Okay. Oh, he took... Oh, crap. That's not good. Oh!
I believe I've had enough.
Yeah, I guess a metal arm would prove bad. Oh! Okay, here we go, here we go. So yeah, they are definitely using this, which, fair enough, yeah. Yeah, okay. That is disturbing. Yikes. He doesn't have the helmet anymore. Oh, damn. Oh, right, using the blood. To make sauce. That's cool. I love it when they go deep into, like, what they can do with their powers. Oh, God. He contained it? Oh, that is badass. Okay, he's back. I think you're kind of... Tetsuo, I think... Oh my god. That was so quick. Like, just very swift. But it was very fitting for this, I thought. Damn. I enjoyed that more than I thought I would, to be honest.
I'm never doing that again. Tetsuo's esoteric telekinesis and other bizarre abilities certainly gave Magneto pause, but the Master of Magnetism had greater control over his foe.
The numbers don't lie. Tetsuo cratering the moon was insane.
Oh, yeah.
Magneto punched Iron Man with the force of the sun.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
while Tetsuo jumped all the way to the moon, Magneto could move across galaxies.
Against Tetsuo,
I did momentarily forget about the moon feed, but yeah.
A sizable advantage in power and speed.
But stats aren't all that matters.
No.
With his precise telekinesis, Tetsuo could just target Magneto's organs. GG, right?
Yes, but Magneto had similar...
Magneto could do the same,
There
though,
are
pretty
very few
much.
substances on Earth that lack any metallic or magnetic components.
Yeah.
And Magneto is very creative with his powers.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was to predict Tetsuo's teleportation and even shut down his telekinesis. And his scraps with Xavier prove he could handle Tetsuo's messing with his head.
Absolutely.
The biggest challenge for Magneto was when Tetsuo's gross mutated power came into play.
Yeah.
Especially given how the detonations from this form were compared to that of a Big Bang. Although the authenticity of that observation is questionable. In truth,
A lot of
the Big
stuff
Bang
is
was a
questionable,
sudden
that's the
expansion
thing.
of matter on a universal scale, whereas Tetsuo's explosions are more akin to nuclear blasts, clearly intentional given the post-war symbolism of the Akira story.
The whole
Yeah.
creating an alternate universe bit wasn't even part of the original material, so we can't exactly call it canon.
But let's just say the comparison wasn't superfluous. Let's say Tetsuo did in fact cause a Big Bang.
Yes, let's say that.
Creating or destroying an entire universe, alternate or otherwise.
Turns out Magneto had the tools to stop that too. Helmet Head could overpower Hercules.
Exactly.
Who was strong enough to hold up the skies of Olympus, which is literally heaven and an alternate universe.
This
So-
doesn't necessarily mean Magneto could easily destroy a universe with a snap of his fingers, but it does prove he can match a similar level of power.
Exactly.
And context.
That's what I was
is
saying, yeah.
everything. Tetsuo's Big Bang eruption specifically exhibited proton collapse, meaning its atomic structure was primarily an unstable mess of neutrons and electrons. And Magneto has detected and commanded
There we
unstable
go.
electrons before. This
His
means
powers are
Magneto
just
had
so
every means
specific
available to
that-
take control over this
Yeah, it
Big
just gives him
Bang.
so much control.
And I thought he could just move some metal around. It's like the
Way
question
more,
posed by
man.
some of the greatest prophets of our time. Fucking magnets. How do they even work?
Magneto's astonishing power and intelligent control over all things magnetism triumphed in the end.
Tetsuo pushed his luck, but didn't
I'm
have
very
the
happy
metal
Magneto
to
won just for the
pull
fact that I
off
was
the win.
backing him up so much.
Is Magneto.
Good job, Eric, or Max, or Magnus.
Thank you for watching.
Good
this
job,
episode.
you.
If you'd like to directly support the whole Death Battle
Again,
team,
both the characters
click
are really
that
cool.
join button
I did know
so we can
Magneto
give them-
longer.
We'd really appreciate it.
I enjoyed the
We'll play
episode. I'll
next
talk about it a little after, but what's next? Is it the Boba Fett fight? No, I don't think so. Was that, like... Is that Hercules? Hang on. So yeah, we have Hercules versus Sun Wukong. So like... Okay, that's interesting, because like these are like the... I'm assuming, just based on like what they showed us, like right there, that these are like the mythological versions of the characters, right? Like the original myths that we're using as a death battle, which is actually really funny, because I was just literally saying, like, in Magneto's analysis, I'm like, you know, oh yeah, obviously we're referring to the Marvel Hercules, and like now we actually have like the actual Hercules, or Heracles as he's referred to, you know, as his Greek name. Hercules is actually his Roman name, like how you know, Zeus is Jupiter as the Roman name, or Ares is Mars, for example. So we have Hercules versus Sun Wukong. That's actually really interesting, because these are characters we haven't really seen much of, or like we haven't really seen like straight myths. I'm assuming we're just using like the mythological versions, and that they're not going to go into like, you know, the Marvel Hercules, for example, or the Disney Hercules, or Sun Wukong. Isn't Sun Wukong like the god that Goku is based off of, or someone in Dragon Ball? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think so. I think, like, yeah. That's my guess. I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure that we're not, like, my guess is that they're not going to be using, like, any adaptations or anything. Like, they're going to be using, like, the real myths. That is really cool. We have not seen something like that on Death Battle before. I'm actually really looking forward to that, because as I've always said, I want to see more stuff from Death Battle, like new stuff, you know, stuff that they haven't really tried before when it comes to the characters. Like, I think this is really cool. I'm actually really cool. And like, Hercules from Greek mythology and Sun Wukong is from Chinese mythology, and they both have like very similar stories. Like, I've heard this fight being thrown around before, but I kind of brush it off because I'm like, is Death Battle ever really going to do this? But no, they're actually doing it. So that's really awesome. But yeah, no, I'll have a prediction out for that at some point. I don't know exactly when, because my work is kind of like taking up a lot of my time. Maybe I'll have to do a different like format for it, actually, if I want to get it out quick. I don't know. I'll think about that. But anyway, that's for another video. Talking about this fight, like I said, I wasn't like the most excited for this fight at the beginning, because I thought this fight worked very well, like conceptually, not conceptually, but like thematically. I thought this fight worked really well. Like, I thought they both had like really interesting personalities that could clash really well, which the animation did show off pretty well in my opinion. I like the voice acting and the banter. And you know, I thought just the concepts of their characters, you know, it does work really well together. The thing is, though, it kind of reminded me of like Korra versus Storm, as I mentioned before, the fight idea, where it's like, it just feels like one character is just made better because of the longevity in the comics, how much their abilities are like described in depth, you know, whereas like characters typically from like TV shows or anime, manga, don't get that as well. And of course there are like differences, like again, characters from Dragon Ball are super ridiculous in their power and stuff like that, you know, but still, like, in a lot of cases, it's like there aren't really that many opportunities to say, hey, this character is this powerful, like this unheard, like, just, you know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to conceive, like, incomprehensible power. That's what I meant. Like, they have this incomprehensible power or this ridiculous, incomprehensible speed or anything like that. Whereas with Marvel characters, especially with someone like Magneto, who's been around for so long and has fought so many characters way outside of the X-Men, it just seemed like it was there were way more opportunities to get those kinds of feats, or for him to show off those kinds of feats, which did end up being the case. Like, that's obviously how it happened. But I will say that I did enjoy this fight more than I thought I was going to. I thought I was just going to be like, you know, I'm going through the motions or whatever. And I will still say that, like, you know, the animation I thought was pretty well put together. I think maybe it could have been a little more fast-paced at the beginning, but it did keep me on the edge of my seat. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen at any given point, so I will give it credit for that. And maybe that's just me being dumb, but I don't know, I'll take it. And, you know, for the analyses, I did really like the post-analysis, how they went so in-depth, even when you could argue they didn't have to. Like, I really do appreciate that, you know? And yeah, there was a lot of it which made me think, well, what was even the point of doing this episode? But I don't know, like, I feel like this one did a good job of showing, like how this one could have been, how it could have worked really well. And maybe a lot of you are watching this and thinking, like, I didn't really enjoy that at all. And if you didn't, that's fine. And I wouldn't say that this is, like, in the top tier of Season 9 episodes so far. Although, frankly, I think all the Season 9 episodes have, like, good merits to them. Like, I really do. So I don't think this would be in like my top half or anything yet of the season 9 episodes. Maybe not. I'll have to think about that. But I still, regardless, I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning about Tetsuo. I enjoyed getting, you know, the massive refresher on Magneto. Again, there's always more stuff they could have done. Like, you know, you could have said, oh, they could have analyzed this a little more accurately, or they could have, you know, talked about a little bit more feats or something like that. But like, that doesn't really matter to me. Like, you know, I really appreciate, you know, everything they did. The animation, I thought, was, again, most of the time it was really nice to look at. And with the whole Tetsuo transformation, you know, that they really did it justice for how disgusting it is. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy it. I think I learned a lot, and I think I got a fun fight. So again, even if this isn't one of my favorite season 9 episodes, I still had fun with it, and that's what I want. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Who do you think should have won? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like. Comment your comments down below. Subscribe if you could too. That would be amazing. But no matter what you guys do, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for me. I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace out.